everybody, it's Rose and welcome back to Cheap Lazy Vegan. Today's video, I'm going to show you guys two different vegan recipes that you can make for the holidays. The first recipe is going to be a main dish and then it's going to be a dessert. Today's video is very kindly sponsored by Thrive Market once again, which is of course the awesome online wholesale retailer that specializes in healthy and natural and organic items, and they sell these items at 25 to 50% off retail value. They have a huge vegan product range, and for an annual membership fee of $60, you get access to their discounted prices. So if you've never tried Thrive Market, today is the perfect day because they're giving you guys a free 1-month trial plus 25% off your first order. So if you need to get yourself some awesome vegan products for the holidays, or you just need to stock up on some staple items, now might be the perfect time. Many products I'm using today are from Thrive Market, so I will be mentioning them throughout the video, and the link to get your 25% off plus free trial is down below in the description box. Thank you so much to Thrive Market for sponsoring today's video. Now let's go on to the recipes. First recipe is going to be a gluten-free and optionally nut-free lentil loaf. Now, I am a huge fan of nut or lentil loaves, so this is a must for the holidays. First thing we're going to do is preheat our oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and in the meantime we're going to prepare our lentils. So I'm using these Thrive Market organic green lentils, just measuring that out and throwing that in a pot after rinsing it with water, my friends. Now, the written recipe will be in a blog post that is linked down below. We're going to throw that on the stove at high heat and let it come to a boil. Next thing we're going to use are these pumpkin seeds, also from Thrive Market. I'm actually going to grind them up slightly first using my food processor. I'm not trying to get them super finely ground, but I do want them to be ground up just a little bit. So we're going to throw that onto a baking sheet that I covered with a non-stick surface. Now, I'm sure you could bake this before you grind, but you know, I just ground them first. I don't know if it makes a difference. And we're going to throw that into the oven for 10 minutes at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Meanwhile, I'm just going to dice the onion and mince the garlic. You could also use a food processor for this method if you want to make things a little bit easier. Now let's heat up a little bit of oil on a pan or a wok on medium-high heat, and then we're going to throw in the onions first. So I like to cook the onions first because the garlic takes a shorter time to cook. So after about 2 or 3 minutes of cooking the onions, I threw in the garlic, and we're just going to cook that until the garlic kind of browns and onion is softened and all that jazz. Make sure you keep an eye on those lentils. Once that mixture comes to a boil, you want to cover that up and turn the heat down to a low and let it simmer. Now, one thing that I made a mistake on is I didn't read the instructions on the lentil packaging, and I didn't realize that these lentils, these Thrive Market lentils, for some reason only take 15 to 20 minutes to cook, whereas other green lentils I've used take about, 40-45 minutes. So just make sure you read the instructions on the packaging, okay? Let's move on. And once the onion and garlic are cooked, you can actually throw them into a large mixing bowl. We're also going to throw in our toasted pumpkin seeds. Now let's add in some thyme and Italian seasoning. Next, we're going to add in some smoked paprika that I got from Thrive Market, of course, and this is going to give it a very nice smoky flavor. Then we're going to add some salt. And we also have some organic sweet potato puree that I got from Thrive Market, of course. And that's going to give it a nice bit of sweetness and also add some moisture into the loaf. We're also going to add a bit of applesauce. I'm using unsweetened applesauce. And we also have this tomato paste that, again, I got from Thrive Market. And that is going to add a nice bit of flavor into the loaf as well. And now we can mix those ingredients together. Now this part is totally optional, but I decided to throw in my mixture into a food processor to kind of pulverize it a little bit more because I thought the onions were a bit chunky. Now if you don't know this about me, I never really test my recipes before I film, okay? That is purely out of laziness, but also I mean, that's pretty much it. It's out of laziness, okay? But so you also get to see the mistakes I make and hopefully learn from my mistakes. So yeah. All right, lentils are done. As you can see, they're a little bit, actually, you know what? They were fine. They're just a little bit more liquidy than I would have liked them to be. So once again, read the instructions on the packaging, okay? So that you don't make the same mistakes as I do. So as you've seen, we've added the lentils into the bowl as well. Now we're gonna mix it all together. Now I'm going to add in Bragg's liquid aminos. This I got from Thrive Market, and this is basically like a gluten-free soy sauce alternative. So if you're gluten-free, this is something you could use, and I'm just adding a little bit of that into the mixture. Now you can of course adjust anything that you would like out of this recipe. So if you like things a little bit more salty, then add a little bit more of that liquid amino action, okay? Now we're going to add some dry ingredients. Now, I told you I don't test the recipes beforehand. So right now I'm adding chickpea flour because I wanted to keep this gluten-free, and I thought, okay, chickpea flour might be good. And I realized I did not like the flavor of chickpea flour in the lentil loaf. I really just thought it overpowered everything, and I just personally did not enjoy the flavor. So instead, I would definitely use oat flour, and if you're gluten-free, you could use a gluten-free oat flour. I'm pretty sure oat flour is gluten-free, but I'm not positive. Next, I'm going to add in some almond flour. Now, if you want to keep this nut-free, you could just add in more oat flour or maybe add some other kind of flour. Not really sure, but I decided on almond flour. And now I'm just going to grease a loaf pan with olive oil. Now you could also just use non-stick parchment paper, and that would be fine too. Now let's add in that mixture. Now one more side note. I have a lot of side notes, okay? Lentil loaves are tricky, people, okay? Because you have to get the right consistency, otherwise it may take forever to cook. It's not really that tricky, it's just there's a lot of steps, and you know, there's just a lot of room for error, you know what I mean? So I realized, again, after the fact, that the mixture was a little bit wet. It was definitely more wet than it should have been because it took a very, very long time to cook. So I adjusted the written recipe to include a little bit less of the liquid ingredients like applesauce and the sweet potato puree. So the wet ingredients you want to go easy on at first, I think, and just add a little bit more as you go. That would be my suggestion. And now we're going to throw this into the preheated oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 50 minutes to begin with. While that loaf is cooking, you can make a very simple glaze. I'm just using the tomato paste that I used earlier, and we're also going to use this Thrive Market maple syrup that again I got from Thrive Market, 100% pure organic maple syrup. And that's it. We're just going to mix that well. You can also add in some balsamic vinegar if you want to add a little bit extra flavor. You can also add in some barbecue sauce. Totally optional, totally up to you. And after 50 minutes of baking, you're going to take that loaf out and glaze the top with that glaze that you just made. And this is also your chance to just kind of check how it's cooking. So I like to just kind of like cut out a little sliver on the side just to check how wet it still is. So I threw it back into the oven for about 10 minutes and I checked again and I realized it was still wet. So this is what I'm saying, guys. You live and you learn, okay? So I checked, it was still a little bit wet, so I threw it back in the oven. And another option for you would be to cook it a bit longer on a lower heat so that it cooks through more. A little hack that you could use if you find that your mixture is a little bit too wet even after this entire time of cooking is you could actually slice them up like this and carefully take them out. Place the individual pieces onto a baking sheet that's covered with a non-stick surface and then just bake it for like 10 minutes so that each individual piece comes out looking like this. And that is what I did, guys. I like to add in a little bit extra glaze on top after the whole thing has cooked so that you add in a bit more flavor. And there you have it, guys, a lentil loaf. Although I made some mistakes, still turned out very delicious. I also have a simple lentil loaf recipe on my ebook as well if you want to check that out. The link is down below for that, my friends. Let's start by adding all the dry ingredients into a medium-sized mixing bowl. We're adding some all-purpose flour, some organic coconut sugar that I got from Thrive Market, baking powder, baking soda, some nutmeg and cinnamon, and just mix that well until it's nicely combined. And now we're taking some of that sweet potato puree that we used earlier. We're going to add that into a large mixing bowl along with some applesauce. And next ingredient is going to be coconut oil. I'm using Thrive Market coconut oil. This is virgin and organic, and I'm just going to melt that in the microwave, and then we're going to add that into the mixture. And let's add in some almond milk or any other non-dairy milk and mix that together. Now let's add the dry ingredients into the wet ingredients, and we are going to fold this mixture. Now I'm not really sure what folding really is, but I heard it's doing something like this. Okay, so like I said, I am not a baker. I don't know much about baking, so we're all learning together, guys. This is a group learning thing, okay? Now you can grease any baking dish that you have. You can use a round one or a square one. I just had these pie ones that were sitting around for a long time, so I just thought I would use that. And I'm just going to throw in that mixture onto the greased baking dish. And now let's throw it into a preheated oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 30 minutes. And to check that it's completely cooked, you can just poke it with a toothpick and it should come out clean. While the cake is baking, we can make an icing or a topping for the cake. So we're taking some organic coconut milk from Thrive Market. This is the full fat kind, guys. That's what you want. So once you've chilled it in the fridge, it's going to have that solid part. So we're going to take that solid part out and throw it into a large mixing bowl. And we're going to take some organic powdered sugar from Thrive Market once again, and we're going to throw that in as well. Now we're going to throw in some vanilla extract. I'm using this one by Simply Organic that I got from Thrive Market. We're going to throw that into the mixture as well. Now, unfortunately, I don't have an electric mixer, so I'm just using a regular whisk, but I do recommend using an electric mixer if you have one. And if you can, I do recommend chilling the coconut milk in the fridge overnight before you try this. I only left mine in the fridge for like an hour or so, but I think it would be better if you left it in the fridge for longer. So yeah, the icing wasn't as thick as I wanted it to be, so it kind of turned out to look like a mess, but it still tastes good, guys. Like I always say, doesn't matter what it looks like, it's about what it tastes like, right? In my attempt to make it look a little bit better, I'm just sprinkling a little bit of cinnamon on top. And there is a little piece of that sweet potato cake. Now it looks less of a mess once you cut it up, so it still tasted really good, guys. It was more densely packed than a regular cake would be. I'm not sure how to make it more like soft and fluffy, but you know, I am just a noob at this, but it still tasted delicious. Highly recommend trying this out. And yeah, look at that. Oh my gosh. Alright, you guys, so that is it. I really hope you guys try these recipes out for the holidays or maybe just for a regular evening. I think I will be definitely making that lentil roast very soon for a potluck. So wish me luck, guys. Wish me luck. I want to thank Thrive Market once again for sponsoring today's video. If you've never tried it, of course, again, you can try it for free today for 30 days as part of their free trial, and also get 25% off your first order. And also, one thing to note is that for every paid membership to Thrive Market, they actually give a free membership to a person or family in need so that they could also get access to discounted healthy products. So if you get a membership from Thrive Market, you know that you're also giving someone in need a membership as well, which is awesome. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new here, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.